Hello, everybody. Miss Sackett here. We are going to talk about our next project, which is a complementary picture. That means we're going to be using complementary colors. And remember, complementary colors are across each other on the color wheel. For example, red and green. If you take red and you go across the wheel, straight across from it is green. And I have the pictures up in the folder of the sample color wheels, technical color wheels for you to look at. And you can see that they're right across the street from each other. Of course, so are yellow and violet, and blue and orange. Now, complementary colors have the most contrast because they have no colors in common. So remember, primaries you cannot mix to make them. You have to have the primary color or some kind of pigment with the primary color in it. The secondary colors are made for mixing two primary colors. So if we take red and green, red is a primary and green is a secondary. We can't mix to get red, but green is made up of yellow and blue. And yellow and blue do not have anything in common with red. So complementary colors work well together. They pop. They have a great contrast. Also, when they mix, they do something totally different, which we'll talk about when we get to the coloring part of the project. All right, supplies needed, and I've been talking about this for quite a while. Of course, we need a pencil to draw, eraser to erase if you need, some kind of practice paper, which could be computer paper or line paper. Then for the drawing, for the project, you need a good piece of 9x12 paper. It could be manila paper, which is this kind of yellowish color, or a good piece of white paper, because that helps the crayons to build up and the picture to color a lot better. So you should have a good piece of paper, either manila or white drawing paper. And of course, a 24-pack of Crayola crayons. And you've had quite a bit of notice, and it's also on our supply list that we went over at the beginning of the year. Crayolas are the best. They have the colors that I'm going to mention. If you do not have Crayola crayons, you're going to have to let me know so I can help you with what colors to use, because they're going to be different than the ones in the Crayola box, because some of the names are funny. And we want to make sure that you are not using the wrong color and your picture not ending up being a complementary picture, because we are not using normal colors. We're only using complementary colors. So you're not going to be grabbing brown out of the box. We're not going to be using blue with red, only complementary colors. And that's real important that you know what colors to use. All right, timeline for the complementary picture. Project complementary picture is due at the end of class, December 16th. That means you have the 16th to work at the end of the class. You take a good photo and you submit your project. That is a work day. And there's not a lot of time after this date. There's only the 17th and the 18th to get it project to me and fixed if you need it fixed, because it's the end of second quarter and then we're going on holiday break. So make sure that you are being good at managing your time and staying up to speed with this project. You do not want to get behind because there's not a lot of time at the end of the quarter. The project has 2 instruction days. One is today, and the other one will be the coloring demonstration, and 8 working days, 2 of which are for the drawing part, and 6 are for the coloring. Again, the coloring will take the most amount of time for the project. Tomorrow, December 4th, you will be working on the plan for your complementary picture. Excuse me. On Monday, December 7th, you'll be doing the drawing for the complementary pictures, and each of these will be a check-in point to make sure that it's going well before you move on. On Tuesday, December 8th, we'll have the demonstration using crayons, because crayons, believe it or not, do some really cool things. I'm going to show you how to blend with the crayons, how to create 3D shading, the difference between coloring solid and fuzzy, because if you color fuzzy, paper shows through. Solid, no paper shows through. and color overlays. What's cool about the crayons, because they're wax, you can have something 3D shaded and blended and then go over top and do some line work, like making scales or making dots or making lines. And it's kind of cool advantage that you can't really do that with colored pencils and some of the other art media. So that is something I will show you during the demonstration. On December 9th through 10th, you'll be working on your complimentary picture, coloring it. At the end of class, on the 10th, you'll have a required check-in, taking a good picture of your project, and I can give you feedback on how your coloring is going, making sure that you're only using one set of complementary colors, because that is a big part of the grade. And then, of course, you'll work on the project December 11th, the 14th, and we'll have a check-in of how the coloring's going with a good photo. And then, of course, you'll have 2 more days to work. And then you're going to submit your project at the end of the class on December 16th. Make sure you're working those days. The check-in points are always at the end, so you've had time to work. And then we have the 17th and 18th, and that's the end of the quarter. So if you're not finished on the 16th, you only have 2 more days to get it to me or to improve for a better grade and finish it. On Thursday, December 17th, we'll view the complimentary pictures, and we'll have our writing assignment, of course, using the RACE strategies. And the writing, again, is like an essay. All right, the criteria, and this will be up in the top of the folder for you to refer back to. This is the stuff that is being expected for the project and what you're being graded on. Go back and check the criteria. I know a lot of you are not, because you move on in your projects before you check. Did I do this? Did I do that? For the most part, the criteria is in order, but not always. Remember, projects are 50% of your grade. Complimentary picture is worth 100 points. Picture focuses on one main object. What is your subject matter? What did you choose? Did you choose a goat? Did you choose a giraffe? Did you choose a shark? Did you choose a tractor? Did you choose a racing car? One main object. Picture is creative, and as always, original artwork. Now you can use photographs of animals and vehicles as a reference, but it cannot be anything that is copied or copyrighted. That means my artwork, things like Disney characters, and you can't copy someone's photograph exactly because it's somebody else's artwork. Using a reference is one thing, copying someone's work is another. You should not be looking at anybody's drawings, anybody's paintings. The work should be from your imagination and your using photographic references, not copied. So you want it to be creative. That means original, it's interesting, and is drawn well. Picture has a good composition and fills the page. Now, if you focus on one main object with a simple background, your composition should be good. Now, if you draw your object too small and you start throwing all kinds of things in the picture, then your composition is not going to be good. If you focus and follow the directions automatically by having your object big with a simple background, your composition will be good. And this is important. 20 points. All the rest are worth 10. 20 points. Used only one set of complementary colors. If you use another color in your picture, that 20 points has gone bye-bye. So, for example, if you choose to use red and green, and you put blue in your picture, boom, those 20 points are gone. You can only use reds and greens, or blues and oranges, or yellows and violets. You can't mix any other colors in there. We're not using black, we're not using brown, we're not using anything but complementary colors. One set. And you will have my sample pictures to show you what the colors are. Used blending to create 3D shapes. We want objects that are curving to look like they're curving and bending, looking like they have a highlight hitting them. It should look like, things are bending off the page. Quality of coloring and colored neatly. How did you use the blending of your colors? How did you use the complementary colors you have? Did you use color overlays to make it more creative? Entire page is colored with no paper showing. Oops, sorry about that. I accidentally clicked the button. Entire page is colored. That means you're not leaving any spots with empty paper. Every time, excuse me, every time I tape, my voice goes crazy. So you don't want any, nothing's going to be left white or manila. There is no white in the picture. Everything must be covered. Also, you must color solid and not fuzzy, and I'll show you a difference between the two. We'll have some pictures. And craftsmanship. What's the overall appearance? Did you do the best? Did you follow the criteria? Was it finished? Was it neat? Was it tidy? All those things. And of course, this criteria is always in the folder for you to refer back to at all times. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our practice in. We're going to plan for our complementary picture. This is kind of our sloppy copy, getting our ideas together, making sure everything's going to work. Plan ideas for the picture. Focus on one main object with a simple background to go with it. Basically, I have a fish, and it fills the page, and there's some seaweed or coral, whatever you want to call it, in the background, and that's it. Nothing else. And of course, the water that will be colored in. When you're planning, you want to think about, what do you like? What do you know? It's got to be original artwork. It cannot be copyrighted images or copied art. And I have some people that have been copying art, and I actually find it on the internet. You cannot do that for a project. It is against the Sunshine State standards for art. The artwork must be original. That doesn't mean you can't draw a giraffe. You can't look at a photograph of a giraffe to get to know what a giraffe looks like. That is different than copying Miss Sackett's artwork, another person's drawings off the internet, or using a character like SpongeBob or a trademark like the Nike swoosh. You cannot be doing anything that is copyrighted, trademarked, or copied from somebody else. Must be original. Okay. Draw on the practice paper. You do not want it to be small. What I want you to think about is the crayons are about the size of your little finger. And they have a nice point on the top of them when they're new. How long does that point last? Mine are already gone from making my practice color wheel. Okay, so think about the fact that the tool is about the size of your pinky finger, so you don't want your shapes too small. The main object should fill most of the paper. It shouldn't be a little tiny thing in the center. Think about what you want to draw and draw it big. It should fill the space. It's the main part. Okay, then you're going to stop and submit your plan. You're going to take a good photo, and you need to be looking at my feedback. I'm getting a lot of bad photos, and nobody goes back and reads what I have to say about it, and you don't change it, you don't improve things. It needs to be a good photo. Okay, get my feedback, and just because you think you finished the plan doesn't mean that it's going to work. You want to see what I have to say about it, because you may need to make some adjustments before you move on to the good paper. Okay, and then you're going to work on the drawing for the complementary picture. Again, it should be like your plan, drawn a little bit neater. And this one is not real light. The plan that you saw, this is an older drawing because I changed my picture, because at one point this was done in a different medium. But you want to draw lightly. And this one's drawn a little darker so that you can see it. And what you need is, you don't need all the details. See how I striped the fin here? I don't need it, because I'm going to do that with the crayons. Later on, you'll see that I have stripes in these fins, and I add gills. This is just a basic drawing of your main object and your simple background without the details, because you're going to use it as a guide for coloring with the crayons. And also remember, see that eye's a little small? You don't want any of the shapes to be too small because the crayons are the size of your finger. And again, the object should fill the page and then a simple background. And you really want to draw light because a lot of the crayons, like yellow greens, the yellows, the oranges, you don't want the pencil to show through. And this one's only drawn dark so that you can see it. And again, you're going to stop, submit your drawing, make sure it's a good photo. I need to be able to see it. Get feedback and adjust drawing if is necessary before you move on to the coloring. If you keep moving on without getting advice and then things are wrong at the end, it's because you didn't heed my feedback or you didn't submit anything and progress on the project like you should. A majority of the work is what my feedback is telling you, what I'm saying to help you with what the criteria and what you need is. Okay, so let's talk about the colors. And these are the names of the Crayola crayons. It's the only crayons that I have. It's crayons I use at school. So these are the names that are on the Crayola crayons. And some of the names are weird, and I will explain them because they're not necessarily technical names because they're made by Crayola. So what you want to do is you're going to choose which complementaries you use. And it does not matter what your subject matter is or what you're doing because, trees are not going to be brown. My sample I have done with 3 different sets. I have 3 different drawings, and none of them have anything whatsoever to do with what my subject matter is. They must be complementary colors. So it doesn't matter what you're drawing. It's not going to affect your drawing because it's not going to be with normal colors. All right, so you may choose red and green, or you may choose blue and orange, or you may choose yellow and violet. One set of colors. Because, if I choose yellow and violet and I add blue, I'm losing 20 points. So it's important that you pay attention to what colors you're using. It's called a complementary picture for a reason because we're using complementary colors. Now, the names of the colors for the red and green Crayola crayons are red, scarlet, violet red. Now that is this one. That is a Crayola name. It's actually a red violet. So it's got a lot more red in it. Green, yellow green, and blue green. In the orange and blue crayons, we have orange, yellow orange, red orange, blue, cerulean, which is a blue green. So it's more on the blue side of the blue green. And indigo, which is a blue violet. It's more on the blue side of that violet. And then you have the yellow and violet Crayola crayons. We have yellow. Dandelion, which they have not using in newer boxes. So if you get a box that doesn't have it, some do, some don't. I think some of them have beautiful, and we don't need another blue. We needed another yellow. But dandelion is a yellow orange. It's closer to the yellow side. Then green yellow, which is a Crayola name that is not technical because we know it's backwards. It's a yellow green. And then we have violet, blue violet, and red violet. And those are the colors you're using. Remember, one set. See 3 separate pictures? You're choosing one. And only those 6 colors to use for your project. Again, I'm just listing the names again. And this is what the colors look like. This is the violet red, which is a red violet. This is the red. This is scarlet. And you can see how that's a lot redder than red orange. So it's really closer to the red. Green, yellow green, and blue green. Then if we look at the orange, we have yellow orange, red orange, blue, cerulean, which has more blue. You see here's the blue-green. This one's got more blue in it. It's a blue-green, so it goes with the blues. And then we have indigo, which if you look at blue violet right here, it's got more blue in it. So it's a blue violet. And that's why it's up with the blues. Then we have the yellows and violets. We have, of course, yellow, dandelion, and you see here's that green yellow. It's definitely a yellow green, because look, here's the normal yellow green. You can see that it's got more green, more yellow, it's balanced. This one's definitely closer to yellow. And then we have violet, blue violet, and red violet. Okay, so remember, when you're drawing, it doesn't matter what you're drawing. You're just choosing one of the complementary sets of colors to color it. Because it will not have, blue sky and red flowers. It's not happening. Only complementary colors. So it's real important that you understand that. Excuse me. I will have these slides available when we get to the coloring portion, so that you can look back, okay, what colors did I choose? And here's the Crayola crayons with the names, written names, and then the crayons with the names on them. Of course, this is the reds and greens. And we've got blue green, yellow green, green, violet red, which is really a red violet. That's bad Crayola naming their crayons with weird names. And red, and then scarlet, which is a red orange. All right, then we have the yellows and violets, and we have red violet, blue violet, violet. Then we have green yellow, which is, see, look at even down here, it's amarillo verde, which doesn't make sense. Did it say that on the other color? Let me go back and look. There, oh geez. Okay. Never mind. That theory did not pan out. So green yellow, which is actually a yellow green. It's closer to yellow. And then we have dandelion, which is a yellow orange. And then we have yellow, and I have them written out over here with the words, and these show you the colors. And you can't always go by the paper. A lot of the paper, if you notice, blue, violet, and violet, paper looks the same. And these two, the paper looks the same. And last but not least, we have the blues and oranges, and we have indigo, which is a blue violet, cerulean, which is a blue green, blue, red orange, yellow orange, and orange. And these are the colors to use for blues and oranges, and there they are, written names. And again, if you have different crayons, let me know, show me them, so we can make sure that you are using them together with the correct colors. They don't always go, as you notice, with what the name is on the wrapper. Okay, so I will be having a color demonstration so that you can see how to use the colors. So here I've got some blending going on, creating 3D shading with dandelion, red, violet, and violet. And here I've got the green, yellow with the red, violet mixing. And when the colors mix, it makes different colors. And here I've got the blue, violet, violet, and red, violet mixing. And in this span, I've got the green, yellow, and dandelion moving in the fin. And then I have a color overlay in the blue, violet. So you can create some cool effects by how you mix the complementary colors. See, these stayed in the violets. This is a yellow and violet mix, and this mixture was just a yellow mix. So there's a lot of different ways that you can color the picture, okay? Color a picture with crayons. Be sure to use only one set of complementary colors. You notice this is all yellows and violets. There will be no blue water. There won't be any other colors introduced. If this was finished, it would be completely yellow and violets. Be creative and use a variety of crayon techniques. We're not using oil pastels. Use a variety of crayon techniques like color overlays, which is the line work here. I could have made scales. That's how I did the gills. Adding details. Color blending. And of course, I will demonstrate, and there will be some sample pictures from the demonstration. Excuse me. Okay, when I color any picture that uses color, a painting or a drawing, I do the background first. So it's best that you, and these were samples at one point where I was doing demonstrations of blending. So that's why my background wasn't done first on that yellow and violet or on this one, because I was doing demonstrations. But you want to start with the background first. And the reason why is the crayons are waxy and you can edge over top of the background. Otherwise, what happens is you're afraid to touch it and it makes halos everywhere. We don't want halos of paper showing. So color the background first, then move forward. So I would do water, seaweed, fish. That's how I would normally draw things. When you are finished, there shouldn't be any paper showing. Now this one, obviously, like the last one, is a work in progress. See, I've got some red in here that's drawn fuzzy that eventually got mixed with the yellow green. And here I have some fuzzy crayon built up because it's going to be mixed with other colors. And see, in this one I've got the yellow, green, green, and then the red mixture. And this I've got the violet red and blue-green mixing. And this one I've got the violet red, which is a red, red, violet, and red mixing. So you can do different ways of doing things. And of course, this one is an actual finished sample. Now what I'm saying is, see how I went over the edge here with the crayon? I did the background first. And then there's no edging of the paper showing. Now you also want to be careful of the wax pieces while you're working, especially like with yellows and violets. All of a sudden you're working in yellow and then from nowhere comes a little piece of violet wax and it gets on your yellow area. So you just want to, watch where you're working and watch for the little crayon pieces, which I'll show you during the demonstration for you to see. Now in this one in the background, I've got blue-green and yellow-orange. And this fin blends from yellow-orange to red-orange. And then it's got an color overlay of the indigo. And then in the face, we've got yellow-orange mixing with blue-green. And then the gills are made with indigo. This is a blue mixture from blue-green to blue. Nope, actually that's not blue-green. That's a lie. That's cerulean. Sorry about that. Cerulean to blue to indigo. And this mixture again is the yellow-orange to orange, and it's mixing with the cerulean. So there's different ways that you can mix the colors to make it look cool. And this is the red-orange and indigo mixing with the seaweed in the background. And you see what happens when the colors mix. They kind of dull when they're complementaries, but they work well with each other. And I'll talk more about how I did a lot of the stuff in the picture when you see the coloring demonstration for the project. And then, of course, at the end, you want to go back and check the criteria, make sure you've met it all, and you're going to submit your project at the end of class. You need to take, and I can't emphasize this enough, a good photo. I need to be able to see your artwork and what's going on with it. Get my feedback, and if you need to adjust the drawing, if it wasn't finished, you need to add some more interesting details, maybe you colored fuzzy, you can go back and do that. Just because you submitted it doesn't mean it's a done deal, especially if it's incomplete. And remember that there's only 2 days after the project is due to finish anything that need be. Okay? And that is the project. And of course, I will be showing more stuff with the coloring demonstration. And I will have the pictures of the crayons and the names of the crayons in the folder next week for you when we get to coloring, so that you can see them.